The bedroom door closed with a soft click that sounded like a prison sentence. Tia Morrison stood frozen, her white silk nightgown clinging to her trembling body as three identical Korean men positioned themselves between her and any hope of escape. The one in the center, his dark eyes burning with an intensity that made her knees weak, spoke first. "Tonight, we make you ours completely. Every inch of you will know who you belong to." Her heart slammed against her ribcage so hard she thought they could hear it. She'd signed the contract 3 days ago, desperate and drowning in medical bills that were killing her father faster than his failing heart. She'd agreed to marry all three of them, these dangerous strangers with their sharp suits and sharper reputations. But nothing in that thick stack of legal papers had prepared her for this moment, for the way they looked at her like she was both salvation and sin. "I thought this was just business," she whispered, her back pressing against the carved wooden door. "You said it was an arrangement, nothing more." The brother on the left took a step forward, his movements predatory and precise. "Business doesn't mean we can't enjoy the benefits. You signed the contract, Tia. You knew what you were agreeing to." Before we dive deeper into Tia's wedding night, beautiful people, I need you to hit that subscribe button right now. You're about to witness something absolutely explosive, and, trust me, you won't want to miss a single second of what happens next. Your support keeps these stories coming, so show some love and let's get back to Tia's impossible situation. 24 hours earlier, Tia had been sitting in a hard plastic chair in her father's hospital room, listening to machines beep out the rhythm of his struggling heart. The medical bills had piled up like a mountain of impossible dreams, each one another shovel of dirt on her family's grave. Her mother's bakery, the one that had fed their neighborhood for 20 years, couldn't generate enough to cover even a fraction of what they owed. Their house had a foreclosure notice taped to the front door. Her younger brother Marcus had quietly withdrawn his college applications, pretending he wanted a gap year when they both knew the truth. They were drowning, and Tia was the only one strong enough to swim to shore. Miss Morrison. The lawyer had materialized in the hospital waiting room like something out of a fever dream, his expensive suit and cold smile completely out of place among the worried families and exhausted nurses. "My name is Park Ji-hoon. I represent the Kong family, and they have a proposition that could solve all your problems." The proposition had been insane. Marry 3 brothers, identical triplets who ran half of Seoul's underground operations and needed a wife to satisfy their dying grandmother's traditional demands. 1 year of marriage, complete discretion, and in exchange, every single debt paid, her father's medical care covered indefinitely, her brother's education fully funded, and $500,000 in her bank account when the year ended. "Why me?" Tia had asked, suspicious of anything that seemed too perfect. "Out of everyone in this city, why would they choose me?" The lawyer had pulled out a folder, sliding it across the small waiting room table. "You fit their very specific requirements. 25 years old, unmarried, no criminal record, financially desperate enough to agree without asking too many questions and..." He'd paused, his expression carefully neutral. "Inexperienced. Their grandmother has very traditional values regarding purity." Heat had flooded Tia's face, shame and anger mixing into something bitter. "You mean virgin? You're telling me they want to buy a virgin bride like this is some medieval auction?" "Their grandmother wants to ensure the marriage is legitimate in every way," the lawyer had said smoothly. "The Kong family takes their traditions very seriously." Tia should have walked away. Should have found another way, any other way. But then her father had started coughing, that wet, terrible sound that meant his lungs were filling with fluid again, and the nurse had rushed in to adjust his medications, and Tia had thought about her mother crying herself to sleep every night, about Marcus pretending he didn't care that his dreams were dying. She'd signed the contract with shaking hands, trading her freedom for her family's survival. The wedding had been small and strange, conducted in a private room with just a judge, the lawyer, the 3 brothers in matching black suits, and Tia in a simple white dress her mother had sewn with tears in her eyes. She'd barely looked at their faces during the ceremony, too overwhelmed by the surreal nature of marrying 3 men at once. The lawyer had explained it was legal in Korea under very specific circumstances, rare but legitimate when family lines and inheritance were at stake. The grandmother had watched from her wheelchair, satisfaction gleaming in her ancient eyes as each brother placed a ring on Tia's finger. 3 platinum bands, 3 sets of vows, 3 husbands. The old woman had nodded her approval, said something in Korean that made all 3 brothers straighten their spines, and then Tia had been whisked away to this penthouse that probably cost more than her entire neighborhood combined. They'd left her alone to change into the white silk nightgown someone had laid out on the massive bed, and now she stood facing 3 men who looked at her like she was the answer to questions they'd been asking their whole lives. "My name is Minho Kong," the one in the center said, his voice carrying the weight of authority. "I'm the eldest. This is Jinwoo," he gestured to his left, "and Hyunwoo to my right. We're identical triplets, as you've obviously noticed." Tia had noticed. It was impossible not to. They were devastatingly handsome in a way that made her mouth go dry and her pulse race. Sharp cheekbones, intense dark eyes that seemed to see straight through her, black hair styled with subtle differences that she was beginning to recognize. Minho's was swept back severely. Jinwoo had his parted on the side. Hyunwoo's fell forward slightly over his forehead, softening his features just barely. They were all tall, easily over 6 feet, with builds that suggested they spent serious time training their bodies into weapons. And they were all looking at her like they wanted to devour her whole. "I know this is overwhelming," Jinwoo said, his voice gentler than Minho's, carrying a note of understanding. "We're not going to hurt you, Tia. That's a promise. But we are going to make you scream," Hyunwoo added, a slight smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "From pleasure, not pain. There's a very important difference." "I don't want this," Tia blurted out, her voice shaking. "I know I signed your contract, but it said marriage. It didn't say anything about this." Minho pulled out his phone, scrolling with practiced ease. The contract specifically states in Section 7, Paragraph 3, that consummation is required. The marriage must be legitimate in all ways, including physical intimacy, to satisfy our grandmother's requirements and ensure full payment of the agreed terms. Tia's stomach dropped like a stone. She'd read the contract, or at least she'd tried to, but the legal language had been so dense and complicated, and she'd been so desperate, so focused on saving her family that she must have missed that detail buried in the fine print. "I'm not ready," she said, hating how her voice cracked. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do." "We know," Minho said, and something in his expression softened just slightly. "That's part of why you were chosen. But Tia, we're not monsters. We won't force you." "That's disgusting," Tia snapped, anger suddenly cutting through her fear like a blade. "You specifically wanted a virgin. What is this, the Dark Ages? Do you have any idea how degrading that is?" "Our grandmother is 93 years old," Jinwoo explained, his tone patient. "She has very traditional values about purity and family honor. She wanted to ensure that her grandson's wife was untouched. We didn't choose the requirements, Tia. We're just following them to give her peace before she dies." "Why do you even need a wife?" Tia demanded, her fear transforming into righteous anger. "You're obviously rich, clearly powerful. You could have any woman you wanted. Why go through all this elaborate setup? Why not just find someone who actually wants to marry you?" The 3 brothers exchanged glances, having one of those silent conversations that identical siblings seemed capable of having without words. Then Minho spoke, his voice carrying a weight that made Tia's anger falter. "Our grandmother is dying. The doctors give her maybe 3 months, possibly less. Her final wish is to see us married, settled, continuing the family line. We've disappointed her badly in the past. This is our chance to give her peace before she goes, to prove we're not completely lost." "What did you do to disappoint her?" Tia asked, curiosity overtaking caution. "That's not relevant to tonight," Hyunwoo said, moving closer until Tia could smell his cologne, something expensive and masculine that made her head spin. "What matters is that we're here now, and so are you. Please don't touch me, Tia said, pressing harder against the door. I'm scared. I'm really scared. All three brothers stopped immediately, their expressions shifting from predatory to protective in an instant. We're not rapists, Minho said firmly, his voice carrying absolute conviction. Everything that happens tonight happens with your consent. That's non-negotiable. But you said the contract requires consummation, Tia pointed out, her voice small. It does, Jinwoo agreed. But that doesn't mean we force you. It means we seduce you, convince you, make you want it as much as we do. There's a very important difference. I won't want it, Tia said stubbornly. I don't even know you. How could I possibly want this? Then let us introduce ourselves properly, Minho said, gesturing toward the elegant couch positioned near the floor-to-ceiling windows. Sit with us. Talk with us. Let us explain what this year will actually look like. Give us a chance to show you we're not the monsters you think we are. Against every instinct screaming at her to run, Tia moved to the couch and sat down carefully, her hands folded in her lap. The brothers settled across from her, giving her space, their body language deliberately open and non-threatening. First, Minho began, leaning forward with his elbows on his knees. You should know that we take this marriage seriously. You're not just a contract to us, Tia. You're our wife. That means something in our culture, in our family. It means you're under our protection, Jinwoo continued. Anyone who threatens you threatens us. Anyone who hurts you answers to us. Anyone who even looks at you wrong will regret it. And it means, Hyunwoo finished, his dark eyes intense, that we're committed to your happiness, your safety, your well-being for this year and possibly beyond, depending on how things develop between us. The contract says 1 year, Tia said, clinging to that certainty like a lifeline. After that, I'm free to go with my money. That was the deal. The contract says minimum 1 year, Minho corrected gently. If all parties agree, it can be extended indefinitely or made permanent. It's not a prison sentence, Tia. It's an opportunity. Tia's heart skipped several beats. You mean actually stay married? Like forever? You're talking about this becoming real. If we fall in love, Jinwoo said simply, like it was the most natural thing in the world. If this becomes real instead of just business, why wouldn't we make it permanent? Why wouldn't we choose to build a life together? I don't know, Tia admitted, her head spinning. This is absolutely insane. Everything about this situation is completely crazy. Insane doesn't mean impossible, Hyunwoo said, a slight smile tugging at his lips. Our entire family built an empire on insane ideas that everyone said were impossible. We're good at making the impossible happen. Your family built an empire on crime, Tia corrected, meeting his eyes directly. Let's not romanticize what you actually do. You're criminals. Gangsters. Probably murderers. Minho's expression shifted into something that might have been approval. You're right. We're criminals. Our grandfathers started with protection rackets in Busan back in the 70s. Our father expanded into gambling, smuggling, money laundering. We've diversified even further into imports, exports, real estate, entertainment. Some of it's legal. Most of it's not. Why are you telling me this? Tia asked, genuinely confused. Shouldn't you be keeping your criminal activities secret? Isn't that how this whole organized crime thing works? You're our wife, Jinwoo said simply. That makes you family. Family knows everything. Family is trusted with everything. And family never, ever betrays each other. Those are the rules we live by. The weight of those words settled over Tia like a heavy blanket, simultaneously warm and suffocating. I didn't sign up to become part of a crime family, she said. I signed up to help my father, pay our debts, and walk away after a year with enough money to start over. Plans change, Minho said, his dark eyes holding hers. Feelings develop. Loyalties shift. You might discover you like being a Kong, Tia. You might find that this life, this family, suits you better than you ever imagined. I'm still a Morrison, Tia shot back, lifting her chin. The contract allows me to keep my name. I'm not giving up my identity just because I married you. For now, Hyunwoo said softly, moving closer until he was standing just in front of her. But you're wearing our rings, sleeping in our home, about to share our bed. At what point does Morrison become just a memory and Kong become your true identity? Tia looked down at her left hand, at the 3 platinum bands that felt like they weighed 1,000 pounds. What do they say? She asked quietly. The engravings. What do they mean? Minho held up his own hand, showing her a matching band. Mine says strength in Korean. I'm the eldest by 4 minutes. I handle strategy, leadership, the hard decisions that keep our family safe and our operations running smoothly. Jinwoo showed his ring next, the metal catching the soft light. Mine says wisdom. I'm the middle brother. I handle negotiations, alliances, keeping peace between our various operations and partners. I'm the diplomat. Hyunwoo's ring gleamed as he held it up. Mine says heart. I'm the youngest by 6 minutes. I handle the people, the relationships, making sure we don't lose our humanity in this business. I'm the one who remembers we're still human. And mine? Tia asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Yours says home, all 3 brothers said simultaneously, their voices blending into one. Because that's what you are to us now, Minho continued, his expression intense. Home. The place we return to. The person who grounds us. The reason we fight to stay alive in a world that wants to kill us. Tia felt tears threatening, burning behind her eyes. You don't even know me, she said, her voice breaking. How can I possibly be your home when we're complete strangers? We know enough, Jinwoo said gently. We know you love your family so much that you married 3 dangerous strangers to save them. We know you're terrified but brave enough to face that fear head-on. We know you challenge us instead of just submitting, which is exactly what we need. That's more than enough to start with, Tia. Everything else, Hyunwoo added, his hand reaching out slowly toward her, we'll learn together. Every day, every night, we'll discover who you are and you'll discover who we are, and we'll build something real from this impossible situation. He stopped with his hand extended, close enough that Tia could see the calluses on his palm, the strength in his fingers. Can I touch you? He asked, his voice soft. Just your hand. Nothing more. I want to see if you feel it too. Feel what? Tia asked, her heart hammering so hard she felt dizzy. The connection, Hyunwoo said. The electricity. The thing that made us choose you out of 50 candidates. The thing that makes this feel inevitable. There's no electricity, Tia said, but her voice wavered, uncertain. Then you have nothing to fear from letting me hold your hand, Hyunwoo said reasonably, his hand still extended, waiting for her decision. Beautiful people, pause for just a second. Can you imagine being in Tia's position right now? Married to 3 men you don't know, being told you're their home when you can barely remember their names, feeling something you can't explain pulling you toward them despite every logical reason to run. If you're feeling this tension, if you're wondering whether Tia should take his hand or bolt for the door, hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a comment telling me if you'd have signed that contract. Would you marry 3 dangerous strangers to save your family? Let me know, and let's get back to Tia's impossible choice. Slowly, her hand trembling, Tia extended her hand toward Hyunwoo. His fingers closed around hers gently, his palm warm and slightly rough against her softer skin. The moment their skin connected, Tia gasped, her whole body responding to the contact in a way that terrified her. It wasn't exactly electricity, more like heat spreading from where they touched, racing up her arm, through her chest, settling low in her belly in a way that made her squirm with unfamiliar sensation. You feel it, Hyunwoo said, satisfaction evident in his voice. Don't lie and say you don't, Tia. I can see it in your eyes. I feel something, Tia admitted reluctantly. That doesn't mean I want to sleep with you. That doesn't mean I'm ready for any of this. Not yet, Minho said, appearing at her other side so smoothly she hadn't noticed him moving. But you will be, Tia. You will. May I? He held out his hand, waiting for her permission. Tia knew she should refuse, should maintain some boundaries, should remember this was just business despite how personal it was starting to feel. Instead, she found herself placing her other hand in Minho's, watching his fingers close around hers with a gentleness that seemed impossible for a man who radiated such danger. The heat doubled, then tripled when Jinwoo moved behind the couch, his hands settling carefully on her shoulders, his touch warm through the thin silk of her nightgown. "This is what we felt the moment we saw your picture," Jinwoo said softly, his breath warm against her ear, making her shiver. "Our lawyer showed us 50 candidates. Women who fit grandmother's requirements, who needed money badly enough to agree, who were young and inexperienced. But when we saw you, when we saw your face, all 3 of us knew immediately. You were ours. This was meant to happen." "That's not how attraction works," Tia protested weakly, even as her body betrayed her, leaning into their touches, responding to their proximity in ways she couldn't control. "That's not how anything works. You can't just know something like that from a photograph." "And yet here we are," Minho said, lifting her hand to his lips, pressing a kiss to her knuckles that sent shivers racing down her spine. 3 men who've never agreed on anything in our entire lives, unanimous in wanting you. That has to mean something, Tia." "We've been with other women," Hyun-woo admitted, his thumb stroking circles on her palm in a way that made her breathing unsteady. "Separately, never together, never like this. But none of them felt right. None of them felt like coming home. Only you. Hey, beautiful people, are you seeing what I'm seeing? The way these 3 powerful, dangerous men are completely captivated by Tia, like she's the only thing in the world that matters. If you want to see how this unfolds, how she handles 3 husbands who refuse to let her stay distant and afraid, hit that like button right now and drop a comment telling me who's your favorite triplet so far. Minho, Jinwoo, or Hyunwoo? Let me know, and let's continue this incredible story." "I need time," Tia said, pulling her hands free from their grasp, immediately missing the warmth, the connection. "I need to process all of this. Can we not do anything tonight? Please? I'm not ready." The brothers exchanged glances, having another one of those silent conversations that identical siblings seemed capable of having without words. Then Minho nodded, his expression understanding. "We'll give you tonight, Tia. But you need to understand something important. The contract requires consummation within the first week of marriage. Our grandmother's doctor will verify it. That's non-negotiable." Tia's face burned with humiliation. "Verify it? How? That's barbaric." "Medical examination," Jinwoo said gently, apologetically. "I know it's invasive and archaic, but it's required by the contract. You signed agreeing to it, even if you don't remember that specific clause." "I didn't read every detail," Tia said miserably, shame washing over her. "I was desperate. I just wanted to save my father." "We know," Hyunwoo said softly. "That's exactly why we're giving you time to adjust, time to come to terms with what's happening. But Tia, you need to understand that by the end of this week, one way or another, you'll no longer be a virgin. That's not negotiable. It's going to happen." The finality in his voice should have terrified her. Instead, it sent a different kind of shiver through Tia's body, something that felt disturbingly like anticipation rather than fear. "1 week," she said, her voice barely steady. "And then what happens? You all just, what? Take turns? How does this even work?" "That's crude," Minho said, frowning. "We're not animals, Tia. We're your husbands. When we make love to you, it will be because you want us, because you're ready, because you're begging for it." "I won't beg," Tia said firmly, trying to reclaim some sense of control. "I promise you that. I won't beg." "You will," all 3 brothers said together, their voices holding dark promises that made her pulse race. "We'll make absolutely sure of it." Minho stood, gesturing toward the bedroom door. "Your room is through there. Everything you need has been provided. Clothes, toiletries, anything you might want. There's a lock on the door if it makes you feel safer, though we'd never enter without your permission. You have our word on that." "Our rooms are on this floor," Jinwoo added. "If you need anything during the night, anything at all, just call for us. We'll come immediately." "And Tia," Hyunwoo said as she moved toward the bedroom door, his dark eyes intense, sweet dreams. Dream of us. Dream of what it's going to feel like when you finally surrender to us. Tia fled into the bedroom, closing the door behind her and leaning against it, her heart racing so fast she felt dizzy. The room was massive, decorated in soft creams and golds that felt both luxurious and strangely comforting. The bed dominated the space, easily large enough to fit 4 people, designed for exactly what was coming, for when her week of grace ended and she had to fulfill every clause of that contract she'd signed without reading carefully enough. She moved to the floor-to-ceiling windows, looking out at Seoul's glittering skyline, the city spread out below like a carpet of lights. Somewhere out there, her father was sleeping peacefully in a private hospital room with the best care money could buy, instead of dying slowly in a public ward. Her mother was safe in their house, the foreclosure notice gone, the debt collectors vanished. Her brother Marcus was planning his return to college, his future secured. All it had cost was Tia's freedom, her body, her future. Was it worth it? She didn't know yet. But as she touched her lips, remembering the heat of Hyunwoo's hand in hers, the intensity of Minho's gaze, the gentleness of Jinwoo's touch on her shoulders, she wondered if maybe, possibly, insanely, this might become more than just a sacrifice. Maybe it might become something she actually wanted. Tia didn't sleep that night. She lay in that enormous bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of the evening until her mind was spinning in circles. Around 3 in the morning, she heard footsteps in the hallway outside her door. They paused just outside, and she held her breath, waiting for a knock or for the door to open despite Minho's promise. But the knock never came. After a long moment that felt like an eternity, the footsteps retreated quietly down the hallway. Even while respecting her space, giving her the time she'd asked for, they were checking on her, making sure she was safe. The thought shouldn't have been comforting, shouldn't have made her feel protected rather than trapped. But it did. Morning came with soft golden light filtering through the cream curtains. Tia found clothes laid out in the enormous walk-in closet that was bigger than her childhood bedroom. Designer labels in her exact size, jeans and silk blouses and casual dresses, everything perfectly chosen for her taste, her style, her brown skin tone. How did they know? How much research had they done on her before making their offer? How long had they been watching her, learning her, deciding she was the one they wanted? She showered in the marble bathroom using products that probably cost more than her family's monthly grocery budget, then dressed in jeans and a soft sweater, trying desperately to feel normal in this completely surreal situation. When she emerged from the bedroom, the smell of coffee and something sweet drew her toward the kitchen. She found Jinwoo at the stove, cooking what looked like pancakes while Hyunwoo set the table with careful precision. Minho sat reading a newspaper in Korean, looking like he'd stepped out of a fashion magazine in his perfectly tailored suit. "Good morning," Jinwoo said, smiling warmly at her. "I hope you like blueberry pancakes. I made them American style since you probably miss home cooking." "You cook?" Tia asked, genuinely surprised. "All 3 of us do," Hyunwoo said, pouring fresh orange juice into crystal glasses. "Our mother insisted. She said men who couldn't feed themselves were useless, that we'd never find good wives if we expected women to serve us like servants." "Your mother," Tia said, sitting carefully at the elegant table. "Where is she now?" The temperature in the room dropped instantly, noticeably. Minho set down his newspaper, his expression hardening into something cold and distant. "Dead," he said flatly. 15 years ago. She was murdered by rivals who wanted to destroy our father, wanted to break him by taking away what he loved most. "I'm so sorry," Tia whispered, genuine sympathy flooding through her despite everything. "That must have been terrible for you. You were just children." "Don't be sorry," Jinwoo said, bringing a plate of perfect pancakes to the table, his voice carefully controlled. "We avenged her. Every single person involved in her death no longer exists. It took us 5 years, but we were extremely thorough. No one survived." The casual way he said it, like he was discussing the weather or a business transaction rather than mass murder, sent chills racing down Tia's spine. These men were killers. Actual, literal killers who had hunted down and murdered people in revenge. And she was married to them. Bound to them by contract and law. "You're afraid again," Hyun-woo observed, studying her face with those intense dark eyes. "Don't be, Tia. We'd never hurt you. You're ours to protect, not harm. There's a fundamental difference. But you hurt other people," she said quietly. "You kill people. That's what you're telling me, isn't it? You're murderers." "We eliminate threats to what's ours," Minho corrected, his voice firm. "There's a significant difference in our world. You protect your own or you lose everything. We choose protection, always. We choose family." "Is that what I am now?" Tia asked, her voice sharper than she intended. "Something you own? Property to be protected like a valuable painting or a piece of real estate?" "You're our wife," Jin-woo said firmly, meeting her eyes directly. "That's not ownership, Tia. That's partnership. You're part of us now, part of our family, whether you fully accept it yet or not." They ate in tense silence. The pancakes were delicious, perfectly fluffy and sweet, but Tia barely tasted them. Her mind was racing with questions, fears, and that strange heat that kept building whenever the brothers looked at her, whenever they spoke to her with that mixture of danger and tenderness. "Grandmother wants to meet you today," Minho said finally, breaking the silence. "She's at the family estate in Gangnam. We'll go this afternoon after she finishes her physical therapy." "What do I say to her?" Tia asked nervously. "How do I act around her? I don't speak Korean. I don't know your customs or traditions." "Just be yourself," Hyun-woo said simply. "Respectful but not submissive. Grandmother respects strength more than anything else. Show her you have a spine, that you're not just a meek little girl we can push around. And don't mention that this is temporary," Jin-woo added seriously. "As far as grandmother knows, this is forever. A real love match. She can never know about the contract or the time limit." "But it's not real," Tia protested. "It's a business arrangement. You're asking me to lie to a dying woman." "It could become real," all three brothers said together, their voices blending perfectly. The Kong family estate was enormous, a traditional Korean compound hidden behind high walls and serious-looking guards with guns. As they drove through the massive gates, Tia saw immaculate gardens, peaceful koi ponds, and buildings that looked centuries old nestled among very modern security systems and cameras. "This is where we grew up," Jin-woo explained as they walked toward the main house, his hand warm on her lower back. "Grandmother lives in the ancestral wing. She refuses to modernize it, says it dishonors our heritage and the generations who came before us." "What's she like?" Tia asked nervously, her heart pounding. "Your grandmother. What should I expect?" "Terrifying," Hyun-woo said honestly, not sugarcoating it. "But if she likes you, if she approves of you, she'll protect you like you're her own blood, like you're the most precious thing in the world. If she doesn't like you..." He trailed off meaningfully. "Let's hope she likes you," Minho finished. Grandmother Kong sat in a chair that looked more like a throne, dressed in a traditional hanbok in deep burgundy silk, her white hair pulled back severely from her face. Her eyes were sharp and assessing, missing absolutely nothing as Tia entered the room and bowed the way Jin-woo had carefully instructed her. "So this is the girl," Grandmother said in rapid Korean, her voice strong despite her age. "This is the one you chose." Minho translated quietly for Tia, his voice soft near her ear. "She says you're the one we chose. She's observing you." "She's beautiful," Grandmother continued in Korean, still studying Tia like a piece of merchandise. "Good hips for bearing children. Strong shoulders. Good skin. You chose well, better than I expected." Tia felt like livestock being evaluated at auction, but she kept her expression carefully neutral, refusing to show how uncomfortable she felt under that penetrating stare. "Does she speak Korean?" Grandmother asked sharply. "Not yet," Jin-woo answered respectfully. "But we'll teach her. She's intelligent. She'll learn quickly." "She should learn immediately," Grandmother said firmly. A Kong wife who can't speak Korean properly is useless to this family. How can she raise our children if she can't speak their language? Grandmother switched to heavily accented English, her eyes never leaving Tia's face. You girl. Come closer to me. Tia approached slowly, her heart pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. Grandmother reached out with a wrinkled hand, taking Tia's hand and examining it with clinical precision, turning it over, running her thumb across Tia's palm. Soft hands, grandmother observed. Not a worker's hands. What did your family do before they became poor? My mother runs a bakery, Tia said, finding her voice despite her nervousness. My father was a construction manager before his heart attack put him in the hospital. Poor, then, grandmother said bluntly. That's why you agreed to this arrangement, yes? Money to save your dying father. The bluntness stung, but Tia met grandmother's eyes directly, refusing to look away. Yes. I agreed to marry your grandsons to save my family from debt. I won't pretend otherwise. Grandmother nodded slowly, something like approval flickering across her weathered face. Honest. Good. I hate liars more than anything else in this world. Do you love my grandsons? The question caught Tia completely off guard. She could feel the brothers tensing behind her, could feel their attention focused intensely on how she would answer. I don't know them well enough to love them yet, she said carefully honestly. But I respect them. And I'm committed to honoring this marriage, to being a good wife to them. For how long? Grandmother asked, her eyes narrowing. 1 year, as the contract states, yes? Tia's blood went cold. Behind her, she heard Minho inhale sharply. Grandmother, Minho started, but the old woman waved him off impatiently. You think I don't know about the contract? Grandmother said, her voice sharp. I'm old, not stupid, Minho. I know everything that happens in this family. Tia felt her legs go weak. You knew? You approved the contract. Of course I knew, grandmother said, leaning back in her throne-like chair. I approved it myself. You think I'd let my grandsons marry without my blessing? I know every detail, every clause, every condition. Beautiful people, can you believe this plot twist? Grandmother knew all along. If you're as shocked as Tia right now, smash that subscribe button because this story is about to get even more intense. Trust me, you don't want to miss what grandmother reveals next. Hit that like button and let's continue. You knew. Tia asked again, unable to process it. And you still approved? You wanted this arrangement. Of course, grandmother said matter-of-factly. My grandsons need a wife who isn't after their money or power, someone who can be trusted. A girl who signs a contract with clear terms is far more trustworthy than some fortune hunter claiming love while hunting for wealth and status. But you wanted the marriage to be real, Tia said, confused. You want it consummated. You want children. How is that just a contract? Because I want great-grandchildren before I die, grandmother said bluntly. And because if my grandsons are going to keep you for a year, they might as well enjoy you properly. A year is long enough to fall in love, to make this real. The contract is just the beginning, girl. Just the foundation. Grandmother leaned forward, her grip on Tia's hand tightening with surprising strength. Here's what you don't understand yet, foolish girl. My grandsons have never brought a woman to meet me before. Never. They've had women, yes, many women, but always separately, selfishly, keeping them hidden. But you? You they share. You they agreed on unanimously. That means something profound. It means desperation to fulfill your dying wish, Tia said, but her voice wavered with uncertainty. Grandmother laughed, a sound like crackling paper. It means love, stupid girl. They just don't know it yet. Neither do you. But you will. Time reveals everything. She released Tia's hand abruptly. The consummation must happen this week. Have you completed it yet? Tia's face burned with humiliation. No, not yet. Why not? Grandmother demanded. Are my grandsons not attractive enough for you? Not skilled enough? What's the problem? I need time to adjust, Tia managed, her voice barely above a whisper. This is all happening so fast. Time is something I don't have, grandmother said sharply, her voice suddenly cold. My doctor says 3 months if I'm lucky, possibly less. I want to see you pregnant before I die. I want to know the Kong line continues, that my family will survive. That's not in the contract, Tia protested, panic rising in her chest. I agreed to marriage, not breeding like some animal. You agreed to whatever I decide, grandmother said coldly, her expression hardening. Your family's debts are paid, yes, but they can be reinstated. Your father's hospital care can be withdrawn immediately. Your brother's college fund can disappear. You want to negotiate with me, girl? I hold all the cards. You have nothing. Tia felt tears burning behind her eyes, panic and humiliation and anger mixing into something overwhelming. This was worse than she'd imagined. Not just giving up her virginity, but potentially her entire future, her body's autonomy, being forced to bear children for strangers. Grandmother, that's enough, Minho said firmly, stepping forward. You're scaring her badly. This wasn't part of our agreement with you. Good, grandmother snapped. She should be scared. This is a serious commitment, not some game. Marriage means children, means family, means sacrifice. We won't force pregnancy, Jinwoo said clearly. That wasn't part of our agreement with you, and it won't become part of our agreement with Tia. We gave you our word. Then make it part of your agreement with her, grandmother said imperiously. Or find another wife who will cooperate fully with what this family needs. Tia ran. She didn't think, didn't plan, just turned and fled out of the room, through the traditional hallways, out into the gardens. Her vision blurred with tears, her breath coming in gasps. She heard the brothers calling after her, but she didn't stop, couldn't stop. She'd sold herself into slavery. That's what this was. Not marriage, not a business arrangement. Slavery. Strong hands caught her in the garden among the flowering trees, spinning her around gently. Minho pulled her against his chest, his arms wrapping around her protectively. Let me go, she sobbed against his expensive shirt. I can't do this. I can't be your breeding mare. I won't. You won't be, he said firmly, his voice absolute. Grandmother doesn't control this marriage, Tia. We do. And we say no forced pregnancy. That's final. But my family, Tia cried, pulling back to look at his face. She'll destroy them. She'll take everything back. My father will die. She won't, Jinwoo said, appearing beside them. Because we won't let her. We'll pay your family's debts ourselves if necessary. Every penny. Your father will get the care he needs regardless of what grandmother threatens. Why would you do that? Tia asked, searching their faces. Why would you go against your own grandmother for me? You barely know me. Yes, all three brothers said simultaneously, their voices blending. Hyunwoo stepped closer, his hand gentle on her back. Grandmother is dying and desperate. She's not thinking clearly, not being rational. But we are. And we're telling you right now, Tia, directly and clearly, no one forces you into anything. Not her, not us, not anyone. You have our word. But the contract, Tia whispered, wiping at her tears. The consummation requirement, the medical examination. All of that still stands, doesn't it? That stands, Minho said gently. You agreed to that, and we need it to satisfy the legal requirements to ensure grandmother accepts the marriage as legitimate. But pregnancy? That happens if and when you want it, not because grandmother demands it. Jinwoo cupped her face, wiping away her tears with his thumbs, his touch gentle. Listen to me, Tia. We're not good men. We've done terrible things, things you can't even imagine. But we have honor. We keep our word. And we're giving you our word right now that you're safe with us, that will protect you from everyone, including our own family. How can I trust that? Tia asked, her voice breaking. How can I trust any of this when everything keeps changing? Because we're going back in there right now, Hyunwoo said firmly. And we're going to tell grandmother exactly where she can put her pregnancy demand. And if she tries to threaten your family, she'll learn that we protect what's ours, even from her. Especially from her. They walked back into the ancestral house together, the three brothers flanking Tia like bodyguards, their expressions set and determined. Grandmother sat exactly where they'd left her, completely unsurprised by their return. Done running away like a scared child, she asked Tia. I wasn't running from you, Tia said, finding her voice, finding her spine. I was processing. There's a significant difference. Grandmother's eyebrow rose fractionally. Brave words for a girl with everything to lose. Grandmother, Minho said, his voice cold in a way Tia hadn't heard before, carrying absolute authority. The pregnancy clause will not be added to the contract. Tia will give us children if, and when she chooses, not because you demand it. This is not negotiable. You dare defy me? Grandmother's voice was sharp as broken glass, dangerous. For her, Jean Wu corrected firmly. For our wife. For the woman we chose. You taught us to protect family, grandmother. She's family now. That means protecting her from everyone, including you. Silence stretched like a wire about to snap, tension thick in the air. Then, impossibly, grandmother laughed. That crackling paper sound again, but warmer this time. Finally, she said, satisfaction evident in her voice. Finally, you boys show some backbone, some real strength. I was beginning to think you'd never stand up to me, never choose anything over my approval. This was a test? Hyunwoo asked, anger flashing in his dark eyes. You were testing us? Playing with Tia's emotions. Of course it was a test, grandmother said unapologetically. You think I'd really threaten an innocent girl's family over something as meaningless as pregnancy timing? I wanted to see if you'd protect her. If you'd choose her over me, over family loyalty. And you did. Good. That's exactly what I needed to see. Tia's legs felt weak with relief and residual fear. You were lying? About withdrawing my father's care? About the pregnancy demand being mandatory. The pregnancy demand was real, grandmother clarified. I do want great-grandchildren before I die. But I won't force it through threats and coercion. I wanted to see if my grandsons would force it, would use their power over you. They won't. That tells me they truly care for you, even if none of you realize it yet. You're manipulative, Tia said, anger replacing fear. You played with my emotions, my family's safety, just for a test? That's cruel. I'm thorough, grandmother corrected without apology. And now I know my grandsons chose well. You have fire, girl. You have fear, but you face it head-on. And they protect you instinctively, without thought. That's everything I needed to see. She gestured to a servant who brought forward an ornate wooden box. This belonged to my mother-in-law, passed down through 6 generations of Kong wives. I give it to you now. Inside the box was a jade bracelet, deep green and intricately carved with symbols Tia didn't recognize. This is worth more than money, grandmother said as Tia stared at it. It's family legacy, family acceptance. It's proof that I accept you as a true Kong wife, not just a contract bride. Wear it and everyone in our world will know you're under my protection, under our family's protection. No one will dare touch you. I don't understand, Tia said, confused and overwhelmed. Why give me this if you know I'm leaving in a year? If you know this is just temporary? Because I know you won't leave, grandmother said simply, confidently. You'll fall in love with my grandsons. They'll fall in love with you. The contract will become meaningless, just paper. This bracelet is my bet on that future, girl. Don't prove me wrong. The drive back to the penthouse was quiet, contemplative. Tia sat between Jinwoo and Hyunwoo in the back seat while Minho drove, the jade bracelet heavy on her wrist, a constant reminder of everything that had just happened. I'm sorry about grandmother, Jinwoo finally said, breaking the silence. She's grandmother. Manipulation is how she's survived 93 years in this brutal world. It's all she knows. She terrifies me, Tia admitted quietly. She's absolutely terrifying. Good, Hyunwoo said, a slight smile playing at his lips. She terrifies everyone. But she's also fiercely loyal to family. Now that you've passed her test, she'll protect you like you're her own blood. She'll destroy anyone who threatens you. What if I hadn't passed? Tia asked. What would have happened then? Minho caught her eyes in the rearview mirror, his gaze intense. Then we would have protected you anyway. From her, from anyone. That's what we do, Tia. That's who we are. Back at the penthouse, Tia escaped to her room, claiming exhaustion. In truth, she needed space to process everything. Grandmother's test, the brother's protection, the weight of the jade bracelet on her wrist like a shackle made of acceptance rather than bondage. She was in deeper than she'd realized. This wasn't just a contract anymore. These men were claiming her, protecting her, making her part of something she didn't fully understand. And worse, far worse, she was starting to want it. A soft knock interrupted her spiraling thoughts. Tia? Jin Woo's voice, gentle through the door. Can we talk? Please. She opened the door to find all three brothers standing there, their expressions serious. We thought you might have questions, Minho said. After everything that happened today, we want to be honest with you, completely honest. I have 1,000 questions, Tia admitted, stepping back to let them in. But I don't even know where to start. They settled in her sitting area, the brothers on one couch, Tia on the chair across from them, maintaining some distance. Why do you really want this marriage? She asked directly. And don't tell me it's just for grandmother. There has to be more. No one goes through this much trouble just to please a dying relative. The brothers exchanged long glances, having one of those silent conversations. Then Hyun-woo spoke, his voice heavy. 5 years ago, we made a catastrophic mistake. A decision that cost innocent lives, lives that haunt us every single day. Grandmother was devastated, Jin-woo continued. Ashamed of us. She cut us off emotionally, said we'd lost our way, become monsters just like our father, lost all humanity. What did you do? Tia asked, dreading the answer. We trusted the wrong person, Minho said, his voice tight with old pain. A rival organization approached us, said they wanted peace, wanted to negotiate territory divisions. We agreed to meet, thought we were being diplomatic. But it was a trap. They'd planted bombs in the meeting location. We figured it out in time, Hyun-woo said quietly. We got out before the explosions. But there was a children's hospital next door to the meeting site. The bombs didn't just destroy where we were supposed to be. They took out part of the hospital too. Tia's hand flew to her mouth, horror washing over her. How many? 32 children, Jin-woo said, his voice breaking. And 15 staff members. All dead because we were careless, because we didn't properly vet the location, because we were arrogant enough to think we were untouchable. We hunted down everyone responsible, Hyun-woo continued, his expression haunted. Made them pay in ways I won't describe. But it didn't bring those children back. Didn't undo what our carelessness caused. Didn't give those families back what we'd taken from them. Grandmother said we were cursed, Minho said, staring at his hands. That we'd never know peace, never have families of our own, never experience real love because we'd stolen it from so many parents. She said the only way to redeem ourselves was to build something good, create life instead of constantly taking it. So I'm your redemption, Tia said quietly, understanding finally clicking into place. You're using me to make up for what you did. I'm supposed to absolve your sins. You're our chance, Jin-woo said earnestly. Our chance to be better men, to create a family, to raise children who won't make our mistakes. To build something good from all this darkness we've created. That's a lot of pressure to put on one person, Tia said, feeling the weight of it. I'm just one woman. I can't fix what you've broken. I can't bring back those children. We know, Hyun-woo agreed. And it's not fair to you. But it's the truth. We need you, Tia. Not just for grandmother, for ourselves. You make us want to be better men, to deserve you. I don't know how to fix broken men, Tia whispered, overwhelmed. We're not asking you to fix us, Minho said gently. We're asking you to love us anyway. Broken pieces and all. We're asking for a chance to prove we can be the men you deserve. Tia looked at these three identical faces, seeing them differently now. Not just as dangerous mafia heirs or convenient husbands, but as men carrying crushing guilt, seeking redemption in the only way they knew how. The consummation, she said slowly, her heart pounding. It has to happen this week. That's not negotiable, is it? Yes, they confirmed together. Then I want it to mean something, Tia said, finding courage she didn't know she possessed. Not just fulfilling a contract. I want. I want to choose it. Choose you. All of you. The air in the room changed instantly, charging with electricity, with possibility. Are you sure? Minho asked, his voice rough with restrained desire. Because once we start, Tia, we won't be able to stop easily. We've been holding back, being gentlemen. But if you give us permission, if you truly choose this, we'll claim you completely, thoroughly. I'm sure, Tia said, standing on shaking legs. But not tonight. I need 2 more days to prepare myself mentally, emotionally. Can you give me that? Can you wait 2 more days? We can give you anything you need, Jinwoo said, also standing, his eyes dark with promise. 2 days then. But Tia, use that time wisely, because in 2 days, you become ours in every way possible. There's no going back after that. And you become mine, Tia said, surprised by her own boldness, her own certainty. That's how this works, right? If I'm giving myself to you, you're giving yourselves to me. Equal exchange. Yes, all 3 brothers said, something like reverence in their voices. We're already yours, Tia. We have been since we first saw your picture, since we first imagined this possibility. The next 2 days were a study in controlled tension, in anticipation that built with every passing hour. The brothers circled Tia like predators who'd been promised a feast, but had to wait, had to exercise patience. They were respectful, careful not to push, but their eyes tracked her every movement with hunger that made her skin flush with heat. Minho would brush past her in the hallway, his hand grazing her lower back, sending sparks racing through her body. Jinwoo would sit too close during meals, his thigh pressing against hers, casual contact that felt deliberately designed to keep her aware of him. Hyunwoo would find excuses to touch her hair, her hand, her shoulder, each contact brief, but electric, building anticipation. You're torturing us, Hyunwoo said on the second evening, finding her on the balcony overlooking Seoul's glittering skyline, the city spread out below like scattered diamonds. I know, Tia admitted, not looking at him, watching the lights instead. Is that wrong? Am I being cruel? It's incredibly cruel, he said, stepping closer until she could feel his body heat, could smell his cologne. But also incredibly arousing. Watching you walk around our home, knowing that tomorrow night you'll finally be in our bed, knowing we'll finally get to touch you the way we've been dreaming about for weeks. Tia's breath caught in her throat. What have you been dreaming about? Hyunwoo's hand came up to her neck, his thumb stroking her pulse point, feeling how fast her heart was racing. Everything. The sounds you'll make when we touch you. How your skin will taste. Whether you'll be shy or bold when you're naked beneath us. If you'll scream our names when you come. Hyunwoo, Tia whispered, her body responding despite her nervousness, heat pooling low in her belly. Tomorrow, he said, stepping back with visible effort, his control impressive. Tomorrow we'll show you everything, answer every question your body has. But tonight, you should rest. You'll need your strength for what's coming. That night, Tia barely slept. Fear and anticipation warred inside her, keeping her awake and restless. She'd never been with anyone, never even come close. What if she disappointed them? What if it hurt too much? What if she couldn't handle all 3 of them, couldn't be what they needed? Her mind spun with worst-case scenarios until exhaustion finally claimed her near dawn. She woke to sunlight and the smell of fresh coffee. Her last morning as a virgin. The thought should have terrified her, should have sent her running for the door. Instead, it sent a thrill through her body that she couldn't deny, couldn't pretend away. She showered carefully, taking her time, shaving everywhere with meticulous attention. She used the expensive lotion she'd been saving, making her skin soft and smooth. She put on the silk robe she'd found in her closet, black and barely covering her thighs, clinging to her curves. If she was doing this, really doing this, she'd do it right. She'd walk into it with her eyes open. When she emerged from her bedroom, all 3 brothers were waiting in the living room. They'd clearly planned this, coordinated their appearance. All wore dark slacks and white shirts with the sleeves rolled up, looking devastatingly handsome and dangerous and hungry. Come here, Minho said, his voice commanding but not harsh, carrying authority. Tia crossed to them on shaking legs, her heart pounding so hard she could barely breathe. Minho took her hand gently, pulling her to stand in front of where he sat on the couch. Before tonight, before anything happens, we need to establish rules, he said seriously. Boundaries. Make sure you understand exactly what's going to happen, what you're agreeing to. Okay, Tia whispered, her mouth dry. First, Jinwoo said from his position on Minho's right, you can stop us at any time. Any time at all. Just say stop, and we stop immediately. No questions, no anger, no consequences whatsoever. Your consent matters more than our desire. Always. Second, Hyunwoo continued from Minho's left. We're all three going to be involved throughout the night. Not all at once, that would be too overwhelming for your first time. But throughout the night, we'll all touch you, taste you, claim you. By morning, you'll belong to all of us equally. Third, Minho said, his hand sliding up her thigh slowly, deliberately. We're experienced. You're not. That means you have to trust us to lead, to know what you need even before you know it yourself. We'll take care of you, make sure you're ready, make sure it's good for you. But you have to surrender control to us. Can you do that, Tia? Tia's mind raced. Surrender control to 3 men she barely knew, 3 dangerous criminals who could destroy her with their power. Everything in her screamed danger, screamed run. But her body was already responding to Minho's touch, already heating, already wanting what they were offering. Yes, she said, her voice barely steady. I can do that. I trust you. Good girl, all 3 brothers said together, and the praise sent warmth flooding through her entire body. Now, Minho said, standing smoothly, we're going to spend the day preparing you. Mind and body. By tonight, you'll be so ready for us that you'll be begging. You'll understand exactly what you want and how to ask for it. I won't beg, Tia said automatically, trying to maintain some control. The brothers smiled, identical predatory smiles that made her pulse race. You will, they promised together. We'll make absolutely sure of it. They started with breakfast, but it was unlike any breakfast Tia had ever experienced. Jinwoo fed her strawberries, making her take them from his fingers, his eyes dark and intense as she licked the juice from his skin. Hyunwoo poured champagne, tipping her head back to help her drink, some of it spilling down her throat in a way that felt deliberately erotic. Minho cut her pancakes into small pieces, controlling each bite she took, teaching her body to accept what he gave her, to trust him to provide. This is part of it, Hyunwoo explained, his voice soft. Learning to receive. Learning to let us provide for you, care for you, control the experience. It's about trust, Tia. Everything we do is about building that trust. After breakfast, they led her to a bathroom she hadn't seen before. Enormous, with a soaking tub already filled with steaming water and rose petals floating on the surface like scattered rubies. We're going to bathe you, Jinwoo said, beginning to untie her robe. Prepare your body properly. Tia's hands flew up instinctively to stop him. I can bathe myself. I don't need help with that. But you won't, Minho said firmly, moving her hands aside gently but implacably. This is about learning to accept our touch, our care. Learning that your body belongs to us now, that we have the right to see it, touch it, worship it. The robe fell away, leaving Tia completely naked before them. All 3 brothers went completely still, their eyes raking over her brown skin, her curves, with undisguised hunger that made her feel powerful despite her vulnerability. Beautiful, Hyunwoo breathed, his voice rough. Absolutely perfect. Perfect for us, Jinwoo agreed, his hands flexing like he was restraining himself from reaching for her. Ours, Minho said with absolute finality, possessiveness evident in every syllable. They undressed to their boxers, then guided her into the warm water with gentle hands. What followed was the most intimate, erotic experience of Tia's life, and they hadn't even truly touched her yet in the ways that mattered. Jinwoo washed her hair, his fingers massaging her scalp with such skill that she was nearly boneless with pleasure, her eyes fluttering closed. Hyunwoo soaped her body, his hands gliding over her skin, lingering on her curves, learning every inch of her with reverent attention. Minho held her hand throughout, his thumb tracing patterns on her palm, grounding her, keeping her connected to the moment. Hey, beautiful people, can you feel the tension building? These brothers are masters at seduction, at anticipation. If you're invested in Tia's journey, if you want to see how this night changes everything, show some love with a like right now. Drop a comment telling me if you'd survive this level of intense seduction. Don't forget to subscribe because what happens next is absolutely explosive, and you won't want to miss a single moment. How do you feel? Minho asked as they dried her with impossibly soft towels, their hands gentle but thorough. Overwhelmed, Tia admitted honestly. Scared. Excited. Confused. All of it at once. All normal, Jinwoo assured her, his voice soothing. Your first time should feel significant, should mean something. We're making sure it does, making sure you remember this forever. They dressed her in a silk nightgown, white and virginal, but cut to showcase her body, to make her feel beautiful rather than exposed. They led her to lunch on the balcony, where they continued their sensory seduction, feeding her, touching her casually but constantly, keeping her body hyper-aware of them at all times. Tell us your fantasies, Hyunwoo said during lunch, his dark eyes intense. What have you imagined about sex? What have you dreamed about? Tia's face burned with embarrassment. I don't. I haven't really thought about it much. I don't have fantasies like that. Everyone fantasizes, Minho said gently. Even virgins. Especially virgins. Tell us what you've thought about late at night when you're alone in bed, when your body feels restless. I've imagined. Tia started, then stopped, too embarrassed to continue. Go on, Jinwoo encouraged softly. Nothing you say will shock us or change how we see you. We want to know what you desire. I've imagined being completely overwhelmed, Tia admitted, the words tumbling out. Not being able to think anymore, only feel. Being so lost in sensation that nothing else matters, no thoughts, no fears, just pure feeling. That, Hyunwoo said with deep satisfaction, we can definitely provide. That's exactly what we're going to give you tonight. The afternoon passed in a haze of building anticipation. They watched movies curled together on the couch, the brothers taking turns holding her, touching her hair, her hand, her shoulder, keeping her constantly aware of what was coming. They made dinner together, the brothers working in synchronized harmony while Tia watched, realizing this was their way of showing her how they functioned as a unit, how everything they did was done together, including claiming their wife. As evening fell, as the sun set over Seoul in brilliant oranges and purples, Minho stood and extended his hand to Tia. It's time, he said simply, his voice rough with restrained desire. Tia's heart hammered against her ribs. I'm nervous. Really nervous. We know, Jinwoo said, taking her other hand gently. But we've got you, Tia. We'll take care of everything. Just trust us. Hyunwoo moved behind her, his hands settling on her shoulders, warm and reassuring. Trust us to make this good for you. Trust that we know what we're doing. Trust that your pleasure matters as much as ours. I do trust you, Tia realized with surprise, the truth of it settling over her. I don't know why, but I do. Completely. They led her to a bedroom she'd never entered before. Their bedroom. The bed was massive, covered in black silk sheets that looked sinfully soft. Dim lighting created an intimate atmosphere, candles everywhere casting flickering shadows. Soft music played, something sensual and hypnotic. Everything was designed for seduction, for pleasure, for claiming. Last chance to change your mind, Minho said, though his eyes begged her not to, pleaded with her to stay. We'll stop right now if you want. No judgment, no consequences. I'm not changing my mind, Tia said, surprised by the steadiness in her voice, by the certainty flooding through her. I want this. I want you. All of you. Then come here, all three brothers said together, their voices blending perfectly. And let us show you what it means to be loved by the Kong triplets. Let us show you what you've been missing, what your body was made for. Minho was the first to kiss her, and it was devastating. Slow, deep, consuming. His hands tangled in her hair, angling her head for better access, complete control. His tongue swept against hers, teaching her the rhythm, the give and take, the dance of it. When he finally pulled back, they were both breathing hard, hearts pounding in unison. "My turn," Jinwoo said, spinning her to face him. His kiss was different, softer, but no less intense. Where Minho demanded, Jinwoo requested. Where Minho took, Jinwoo gave. By the time he released her, Tia was trembling with desire and anticipation. Hyunwoo caught her before she could catch her breath, before she could think. His kiss was pure passion and barely restrained desperation, like he'd been starving and she was his first meal in weeks. His hands roamed her body over the silk nightgown, learning her curves, her responses, cataloging what made her gasp and arch into his touch. "Please," Tia heard herself whisper when he finally released her lips, the word escaping before she could stop it. "Please what?" Minho asked, moving behind her, his hands sliding down her arms slowly. "Tell us what you need, Tia. Use your words." "I don't know," Tia admitted breathlessly. I don't know what I'm supposed to want. I don't have the words for it." "Then we'll teach you," Jinwoo said, his fingers finding the straps of her nightgown, sliding them down her shoulders with agonizing slowness. "We'll teach your body what it craves, what it needs, what it was made for. We'll give you the words." The nightgown pulled at her feet, leaving Tia completely bare before them. 3 pairs of identical eyes devoured her, dark with desire so intense it should have frightened her. Instead, it made her feel powerful, desirable, wanted. These dangerous men were completely undone by her body, reduced to hunger and raw need. On the bed, Minho commanded gently, his voice rough. "Lie back. Let us look at you properly." Tia moved to the massive bed, the silk sheets cool and sensual against her heated skin. She lay back as instructed, fighting the urge to cover herself, to hide from their intense scrutiny. The brothers stood at the foot of the bed, still partially clothed, just watching her with expressions of pure hunger. "You're thinking too much," Hyunwoo observed, his eyes never leaving her body. "We can see it in your face, the thoughts racing." "You need to stop thinking, Tia." "How?" she asked desperately. "How do I stop thinking? How do I just feel?" "Let us show you," all 3 said together, their voices blending into a promise. They moved in perfect synchronization, clearly having discussed this, planned it. Minho climbed onto the bed on her right side, Jinwoo on her left, Hyunwoo settling between her legs, but not touching yet, just positioning himself, making his intentions clear. "We're going to touch you now," Minho said, his hand hovering over her stomach, radiating heat. "Everywhere. We're going to learn what makes you sigh, what makes you moan, what makes you scream. And you're going to let us. No hiding, no holding back. Give us everything." "I don't know how," Tia whispered, her voice trembling. "I don't know how to give you everything." "Yes, you do," Hyunwoo said, his hands warm on her ankles, grounding her. "Your body knows exactly what to do. Trust it. Trust us." They touched her simultaneously, and Tia's mind went completely blank. Minho's mouth on her neck, Jinwoo's lips on her shoulder, Hyunwoo's hands sliding up her legs with deliberate slowness. Gentle at first, exploratory, learning her responses, cataloging every gasp and shiver. They worked together like they'd choreographed it, like they'd done this 1,000 times. One backing off as another intensified, keeping her constantly stimulated, but never overwhelmed, never pushing too hard too fast. Minho's hand cupped her breast, his thumb circling until she arched into his touch. Jinwoo's teeth grazed her collarbone, his hand splayed on her stomach, holding her steady. Hyunwoo kissed the inside of her thigh, getting closer and closer to where she was beginning to ache with unfamiliar need. "Beautiful," Minho murmured against her skin. "The way you respond to us, it's absolutely perfect. You're perfect." "Don't hold back those sounds," Jinwoo encouraged as Tia tried to suppress a moan. "We want to hear everything. Every gasp, every sigh, every scream. Don't hide from us." Hyunwoo's mouth moved higher, his breath hot against her most intimate place. "May I?" he asked, always the gentleman even now. "May I taste you, Tia?" "Yes," Tia gasped, beyond caring about modesty or fear. "God, yes. Please." What happened next shattered every preconception Tia had about pleasure, about her own body's capacity for sensation. Hyunwoo's mouth on her was skilled, devastating, relentless. He found nerves she didn't know existed, built pressure she'd never experienced, took her apart piece by piece. Meanwhile, Minho and Jinwoo continued their work on her upper body, mouths and hands in perfect coordination, amplifying every sensation. "That's it," Minho said as Tia began to writhe beneath them, her hips rising involuntarily. "Stop fighting it. Stop trying to control it. Let it happen." "I can't," Tia panted, overwhelmed by sensations she couldn't name. "It's too much. It feels too good. I can't." "You can," Jinwoo assured her, his voice firm. "And you will, Tia. Show us how beautiful you are when you break for us. Let go completely." Hyunwoo did something with his tongue and fingers together, some combination that sent Tia over an edge she didn't know existed. She cried out, her body arching off the bed, pleasure crashing through her in waves that seemed endless, overwhelming, transformative. The brothers held her through it, their hands gentling but not stopping, drawing out her climax until she was boneless and gasping, completely undone. "That was one," Minho said with deep satisfaction. "We're going to give you at least 3 more before we even think about taking you properly. Before we claim you completely." "I can't," Tia protested weakly. "I can't possibly do that again. It was too intense." "You can," all 3 brothers assured her. "And you will. Your body is capable of so much more than you realize, Tia. We're going to show you exactly what it can do." They gave her only moments to recover before beginning again, their strategy different this time. Jinwoo settled between her legs while Minho and Hyunwoo worked her upper body, their touches reverent and demanding simultaneously. Jinwoo was different from Hyunwoo. More playful, more teasing. He brought her to the edge repeatedly, backing off each time just before she could fall, building the tension higher and higher until Tia was actually begging, her pride completely forgotten. "Please, Jinwoo," she gasped, her hands tangling in his hair. "Please don't stop. Please, I need. "There it is," he said with satisfaction, his voice muffled against her skin. "We told you you'd beg. Now tell us what you need, Tia. Say it clearly." "I need you to finish," she said desperately, beyond embarrassment. "I need to come. Please make me come." "Good girl," he praised, and then he sent her over again. Tia screamed his name, her body convulsing with pleasure, her hands holding him to her desperately. When she finally came down, tears of overwhelming sensation were streaming down her face. "Too much?" Hyunwoo asked with concern, wiping her tears gently. "Do you need us to stop?" "No," Tia said immediately, surprising herself. "Not enough. I need more. I need all of you. Please." "Greedy," Minho said approvingly, satisfaction evident in his voice. "We like you greedy, Tia. We like you desperate for us. Hey, beautiful people, are you breathing? Because I'm not sure I am right now. This is the intensity we live for, the passion that makes stories unforgettable. If you're feeling this story, if you're completely invested in Tia's journey, drop a comment telling me which brother you'd choose first. Hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed because we're about to reach the main event and you do not want to miss what happens next. This time, all 3 brothers undressed completely, removing the last barriers between them. Tia watched through heavy-lidded eyes as they revealed bodies that were identical and absolutely perfect. Muscled, sculpted, clearly maintained with dedication. And aroused. Very, very aroused. "Don't be scared," Minho said, noticing her expression, her eyes going wide. "We'll make sure you're ready. We'll make sure it's good for you, not just for us." "Who's first?" Tia asked, her voice shaking slightly. "How do you decide something like that?" The brothers exchanged glances, another silent conversation. "I am," Minho said finally. As the eldest, It's my responsibility. But Tia, look at me. This isn't just duty. I want you. I've wanted you since the moment I saw your picture, and I promise I'll make this good for you. He settled over her, his weight comforting rather than threatening, his body covering hers protectively. Look at me, he commanded gently, his voice soft. Keep your eyes on me. Tia met his eyes, dark and intense and filled with something that looked almost like love, like genuine care rather than just lust. I'm scared, she admitted, her voice small. I'm really scared it's going to hurt. I know, he said, kissing her softly, tenderly. But I've got you. I'll go slow. I'll be careful. Trust me, Tia. He entered her slowly, so slowly, giving her body time to adjust to the intrusion. There was pressure, discomfort, then a sharp pain that made her gasp and tense. Minho stopped immediately, completely still. Breathe, he instructed gently. Just breathe through it. The pain will pass, I promise. Jinwoo's hand found hers, squeezing reassuringly. Hyunwoo kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her jaw, distracting her from the discomfort with gentle affection. Slowly, gradually, the pain faded, replaced by a strange fullness that wasn't entirely unpleasant. Minho moved incrementally deeper, his control absolute, until finally he was fully seated inside her. How do you feel? He asked, his voice strained from holding back, from controlling himself for her sake. Tell me honestly. Full, Tia said, testing the sensation. Strange. Different. But not bad. Not bad at all. It gets better, he promised. So much better. Just relax and let me show you. He began to move, slow and controlled, letting her body learn the rhythm, adjust to the sensation. Jinwoo's hand slid between their bodies, finding where she was most sensitive, adding pressure that transformed lingering discomfort into building pleasure. Hyunwoo's mouth found her breast, his tongue circling in time with Minho's thrusts, adding another layer of sensation. It shouldn't have worked. Tia should have been too uncomfortable, too overwhelmed. But somehow, impossibly, pleasure began building again, different from before, deeper, more intense, more consuming. That's it, Minho said, his control starting to slip, his movements becoming less measured. God, Tia, you feel incredible. So perfect. You're so perfect for us. I'm enjoying it, she heard herself say, surprised by the truth of it. Please, Minho. Faster. Harder. Don't hold back. He complied immediately, his hips snapping harder, deeper, finding angles that made her gasp. Jinwoo's fingers worked faster, more insistently. Hyunwoo's mouth moved to her neck, biting gently in a way that sent sparks racing through her. The combination sent Tia over the edge again, this time pulling Minho with her. He groaned her name against her shoulder, his body shuddering as he reached his own climax, as he marked her as his in the most primal way possible. When he finally pulled out, Tia felt strangely empty, missing the connection already. Give her a minute, Jinwoo said softly. Let her recover. But Tia shook her head, finding strength she didn't know she possessed. No. I want to keep going. I want all of you tonight, exactly like you promised. Please don't make me wait. Are you sure? Hyunwoo asked, concern evident. You must be sore. We don't want to hurt you. I don't care about being sore, Tia said with surprising conviction. I want this. I want to belong to all of you completely tonight. Please. The brothers looked at each other, something profound passing between them. Then you'll have us, Jinwoo said, moving into position. All of us tonight. Exactly as we promised. Jinwoo was gentler than Minho, more patient, taking even more time despite her body already being prepared. He kissed every inch of Tia's body, relearning her responses, ensuring she was completely ready despite having just been claimed. You're perfect, he whispered against her skin, his touch reverent, worshipful. Do you know that, Tia? Do you understand how perfect you are for us? How right this feels. His entry was easier this time, her body knowing what to expect, already adjusted. When he finally filled her completely, Tia was ready, eager even, her hips rising to meet his. "Look at me," Jinwoo said, echoing Minho's earlier command. "I want to see your eyes when I make you mine." Tia met his gaze, found something softer there, something that looked like genuine affection mixed with desire. "You're beautiful like this," he said, beginning to move with careful precision. "Flushed and wanting, completely open to us. I could look at you forever and never get tired of this sight." Minho and Hyunwoo didn't interfere this time, giving Jinwoo his moment with their shared wife. They lay on either side of her, touching gently, offering comfort and connection, but letting Jinwoo lead. Jinwoo made love to her slowly, thoroughly, building her pleasure with careful precision. He learned what pace she preferred, what angle made her gasp, what rhythm made her moan and arch beneath him. That's it. He encouraged as her hips began to rise to meet his thrusts, as she became an active participant rather than just receiving. "Take what you need from me. Use me. This is yours as much as it's mine, Tia. Your pleasure matters just as much." The concept was revolutionary, empowering. She wasn't just something being used. She could take, could demand, could use them for her own pleasure just as they were using her for theirs. "I want you," she said, more confident now, more certain. "Faster, Jinwoo. I want to feel you tomorrow. I want to remember this, remember you." He complied immediately, his control fracturing beautifully. "God, yes. Tell me what you want. Always tell me what you want from me, Tia." He reached between them, found where she was most sensitive, circled until Tia shattered again. Jinwoo followed immediately, burying his face in her neck, her name a prayer on his lips. When he pulled out, he kissed her softly, tenderly. "Thank you," he said sincerely. "For trusting us. For choosing us. For being ours." "One more," Hyunwoo said, and Tia could hear the hunger, the need in his voice. "Can you take one more, Tia? Can you take me too?" "Yes," she whispered, meaning it completely. "I can take you. I want you too." Hyunwoo moved over her, but instead of settling between her legs immediately, he pulled her up, repositioning them. "Different position," he explained, his voice gentle. "You on top. That way you control the depth, the pace. Your body needs that control right now." He lay back, pulling Tia over him, positioning her carefully. She straddled his hips, suddenly uncertain despite everything that had already happened. "I don't know what to do," she admitted, embarrassment coloring her voice. "I don't know how this works." "Just feel," Hyunwoo said, his hands on her hips guiding gently. "Listen to your body. It knows what it wants, what it needs." Tia lowered herself slowly, taking him in gradually. This position was different, deeper somehow, hitting places inside her that made her gasp with surprised pleasure. "Oh God," she breathed, her eyes going wide. That's intense." "Too much?" Hyunwoo asked, concern flickering across his face, ready to stop immediately if she needed him to. "No," Tia said, beginning to move experimentally, finding her rhythm. "Not too much. Perfect. This is perfect." She found her pace, slow at first, then faster as confidence built, as her body taught her what it wanted. Hyunwoo's hands guided her but didn't control, letting her take what she needed, use him for her pleasure. Minho and Jinwoo watched with undisguised hunger, their hands roaming her body as she moved, adding sensation, enhancing everything. "Beautiful," Minho murmured, his hand cupping her breast, his thumb circling. "Look at you, Tia. Taking what you need. Using him. You're absolutely beautiful like this." "Take what you want," Jinwoo added, his mouth on her shoulder, his hand on her back supporting her. "Show us how perfect you are. Show us you're ours." Hyunwoo's hands tightened on her hips, guiding her faster, his own control slipping. He reached between them, found where she was most sensitive, pressed and circled with perfect pressure. Impossibly, despite everything, Tia felt another climax building, this one different, deeper, more consuming than all the others. When it hit, she screamed, her body convulsing, her vision going white with the intensity. Hyunwoo followed immediately, groaning her name, holding her hips tight against his as he found his own release. When it was finally over, when Tia collapsed onto Hyunwoo's chest completely spent, she was distantly aware of gentle hands cleaning her, soft voices murmuring reassurance, someone carrying her to a different bed with fresh sheets. "Sleep," someone said. "Minho, maybe?" "You did so well, Tia. So perfectly. Sleep now. We've got you. We'll always have you." Tia wanted to respond, wanted to say something meaningful about what had just happened, about how her entire world had shifted. But exhaustion pulled her under before she could form words, dragging her into deep, dreamless sleep. When she woke, sunlight was streaming through unfamiliar windows. She was in a different bedroom, not hers, not the one where they'd made love. This one was neutral, comfortable, clearly designed for recovery. Her body ached everywhere. Between her legs, her thighs, even her shoulders. But it was a good ache, reminder of everything that had happened, proof that it had been real and not just a fever dream. She was no longer a virgin. She'd been claimed by 3 men, thoroughly and completely, exactly as they'd promised. And God help her, she loved every overwhelming minute of it. The door opened quietly. Hyunwoo appeared with a tray laden with food. "You're awake," he said, his smile warm and genuine. "Good. We were starting to worry about you." "What time is it?" Tia asked, her voice rough from screaming. "How long did I sleep?" "Almost 2 in the afternoon," Hyunwoo said, setting the tray carefully across her lap. "You slept 14 hours straight. We checked on you constantly, but you were completely out." 14 hours? Tia tried to sit up and gasped as her body protested sharply. "Oh God, I can barely move." Hyunwoo was beside her immediately, helping her up gently, arranging pillows behind her back with careful attention. "Easy. You're going to be sore for a few days. We were very thorough with you." Heat flooded Tia's face as memories returned in vivid, overwhelming detail. "That's one way to put it." Hyunwoo set the tray across her lap. "Soup, tea, fruit. Everything easy to digest. You need to eat, need to regain your strength." "Where are your brothers?" Tia asked, suddenly missing them, wanting all 3 of them near her. "Handling business," Hyunwoo said, his expression darkening slightly. They didn't want to leave, but some things required their immediate attention. Important things that couldn't wait. "They'll be back soon." Tia ate slowly, processing everything that had changed. Last night had been intense, overwhelming, transformative in ways she was still trying to understand. She'd given herself to them completely, and they'd claimed her just as thoroughly as they'd promised. But what did that mean for the rest of her year? For her future? For the person she was becoming? "You're thinking too much again," Hyunwoo observed, sitting on the edge of the bed, studying her face. "I can see it in your eyes, all the questions spinning." "I'm just trying to understand what happens now," Tia said quietly. "After everything that happened last night, I'm trying to figure out where we go from here." "Now we continue," Hyunwoo said simply. "You're our wife. We're your husbands. We build a life together, day by day." For a year, Tia reminded him, clinging to that certainty even though it felt less solid now. "The contract says 1 year, and then I leave with my money." Hyunwoo's expression darkened, something dangerous flickering in his eyes. "Do you really think, after last night, after what we shared, that will let you walk away in a year? That will just let you go like you mean nothing." "The contract says." "Fuck the contract," Hyunwoo interrupted, shocking her with his vehemence, with the raw emotion in his voice. "Last night changed everything, Tia. You're ours now. Not because of a piece of paper, but because you chose us. Because we claimed you. Because you belong with us." "You don't own me," Tia said, anger flaring despite her exhaustion. "I'm not property you can just keep." "You're right," Hyunwoo agreed immediately. "You're not property. You're family. Our wife. The woman we're falling in love with. And family doesn't leave. Family doesn't abandon each other. That's not how this works." "You don't love me," Tia protested weakly. "You barely know me beyond what you've researched." "I know you're brave," Hyunwoo said intensely, his eyes holding hers. "I know you're fiercely loyal to your family. I know you challenge us instead of just submitting, which makes you perfect for us. I know the sounds you make when you come, the way you taste, how you feel wrapped around me. I know I've never wanted anyone the way I want you. If that's not the beginning of love, what is? Before Tia could respond, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. She reached for it, grateful for the interruption, the chance to process what Hyunwoo had just said. The text was from an unknown number. She opened it and felt her blood run cold, ice flooding her veins. The message contained a photo of her mother outside the bakery, clearly taken that morning. Below it, words that made her stomach drop and her hands start shaking. Asterisk, your new husbands made powerful enemies. Enemies who know exactly how to hurt them. Run while you still can, or everyone you love pays the price in blood. Asterisk. Hyunwoo, Tia said, her voice shaking as she showed him the phone. What is this? Who would threaten my mother? Why would anyone do this? Hyunwoo's expression transformed instantly from soft to lethal, from lover to killer in a heartbeat. He took the phone, read the message, his jaw clenching with barely controlled rage. Get dressed, he said, his voice cold in a way she'd never heard before. Right now. We need to tell Minho and Jinwoo immediately. Someone just made a very serious, very fatal mistake. Within 30 minutes, all three brothers were gathered in Minho's office, their expressions identical masks of cold fury. Tia sat wrapped in a robe, watching them transform completely from the passionate lovers of last night into the dangerous mafia heirs everyone feared. It's the Choi family, Minho said after making several rapid calls in Korean, his voice ice. They've been wanting our territory for years. They must think threatening our wife will make us weak, distracted, vulnerable. They're wrong, Jinwoo said flatly, his voice carrying absolute certainty. It makes us lethal. It makes us willing to do anything. My mother, Tia said, her voice breaking with fear. They threatened my mother. She has nothing to do with this. She's completely innocent. She's innocent, which is exactly why they targeted her, Hyunwoo explained, his hand finding hers, squeezing reassuringly. They know we'd burn the entire world down to protect you. And they know you'd sacrifice yourself to protect your family. They're trying to use that against us. So, what do? Tia asked, fear making her voice shake. How do we protect her? How do we stop this? You do nothing, Minho said firmly, his tone brooking no argument. You stay here where we can protect you properly. We handle the Choi family. Permanently. I can't just hide while my mother's in danger, Tia protested, standing despite her soreness. While my whole family is being threatened. You can't expect me to just sit here and do nothing. You can and you will, all three brothers said simultaneously, their voices blending into one absolute command. This is our world, Jinwoo continued, his expression hard. We know how to navigate it, how to handle threats. You don't. If you try to help, if you try to get involved, you'll only make things infinitely worse. Then what was the point of last night? Tia demanded, anger replacing fear. What was the point of claiming me, making me yours, if you're just going to shut me out when things get dangerous? If you're going to treat me like a child who needs protecting? Last night was about making you family, Minho said, moving to cup her face with both hands. And family protects each other. Right now, the best way to protect you is to keep you safe while we eliminate the threat completely. How? Tia asked, meeting his eyes directly. How do you eliminate an entire family? What are you planning to do? The brothers exchanged dark glances, silent communication passing between them. You don't want to know the details, Hyunwoo said quietly, seriously. You don't want those images in your head, Tia. Yes, I do, Tia insisted. If I'm really your wife, really part of this family, then I deserve to know what you're going to do in my name. I deserve the truth. Silence stretched, tense and heavy. Then Minho spoke, his voice completely devoid of emotion, clinical and cold. We're going to find everyone involved in threatening you. Everyone who approved this decision, everyone who took that photo, everyone who thought they could use your family against us. And we're going to make an example of them that's so brutal, so complete, so absolutely devastating that no one will ever threaten a Kong family member again. Ever. You're going to kill them, Tia said, the reality settling over her like a heavy weight. All of them. You're planning mass murder. Yes, the brothers confirmed without hesitation, without apology. Women too. Tia asked, feeling sick. Children? How far does this go? The Choi organization is mostly men, Jinwoo said, his voice steady. We don't hurt children. Ever. That's a line we absolutely never cross, not after what happened. But the men who made this decision, who approved threatening your mother, who thought they could use your family as leverage, they're dead. They just don't know it yet. How can you be so calm about murder? Tia asked, her voice shaking. How can you talk about killing people like you're discussing the weather? Because it's necessary, Minho said simply, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. In our world, you show strength decisively or you die slowly. The Choi family attacked our family. If we don't respond absolutely, definitively, others will think we're weak. More attacks will come. Your mother, your brother, your father, they'll never be safe. Ever. This is how we protect you, Tia. This is what your safety costs. This is the price we pay gladly. The reality of what she'd married into hit Tia like a physical blow, stealing her breath. These men who'd been so gentle with her last night, who'd taken such exquisite care with her body and her pleasure, were cold-blooded killers. Actual, literal murderers who were planning to slaughter people to protect her. I think I'm going to be sick, she whispered, her hand going to her mouth. Hyunwoo guided her quickly to the bathroom, held her hair gently while she vomited, rubbed her back with tender hands that had killed, that would kill again. I know this is hard, he said softly, his voice full of understanding. I know this isn't the life you chose, the world you wanted to be part of. But it's the life you're in now, the reality you're living. And we'll do whatever it takes to keep you safe, Tia. Even if you hate us for it. Even if you never forgive us. I don't hate you, Tia said, wiping her mouth with a shaking hand. I'm terrified of you. There's a significant difference. Fear is honest, Hyunwoo said, helping her stand, supporting her weight. Fear we can work with, can understand. Hate would destroy us, would make this impossible. They returned to the office where Minho was coordinating rapidly with his people, speaking rapid Korean into his phone, his expression cold and focused. Jinwoo was on his laptop, tracking something, his fingers flying across the keyboard. Your mother is being moved to a safe house as we speak, Minho said, hanging up and turning to Tia. Your father and brother too. They'll be protected by our best people, our most trusted guards, until this is completely over. No one will touch them. Can I call her? Tia asked, desperate to hear her mother's voice. Let her know I'm okay, that everything will be fine. No, Minho said firmly, no room for negotiation. Absolutely no contact. The Choi family might be monitoring communications, trying to trace calls. We can't risk them finding the safe house location. Your mother's life depends on silence right now. So I just sit here and do nothing? Tia's voice rose with frustration. Just wait while my family is in danger and you're out committing mass murder? I'm supposed to just accept that. That's exactly what you do, Minho said, his voice hard but not unkind. Because that's what keeps everyone alive. That's what ensures your family survives this. I hate this, Tia said, tears streaming down her face now. I hate feeling helpless. I hate that my choice to save my family put them in more danger. I hate that I gave myself to you last night and now I'm watching you plan to kill people because of me. We know, Jinwoo said, standing and moving to her, pulling her into his arms. But Tia, this threat existed before you married us. The Choi family has wanted war for years. They just used you as an excuse, as a convenient target. If anything, your presence gives us more motivation to end this permanently, to eliminate the threat completely. How long? Tia asked, her voice muffled against his chest. How long until it's over? Until my family is safe. 48 hours, Minho said with absolute certainty. Maybe less if everything goes according to plan. We move fast when family is threatened. It's what we do best. The next 2 days were the longest of Tia's life, endless hours of fear and waiting. The brothers left in shifts, never leaving her alone, always ensuring someone was there to guard her, to comfort her, to keep her from spiraling into panic. Hyunwoo stayed the first night, holding her while she cried, reassuring her repeatedly that her family was safe, that everything would be okay soon. Jinwoo took the second shift, distracting her with movies and quiet conversation, trying to keep her mind off what was happening in the streets of Seoul, the violence being committed in her name. Minho was gone both nights, coordinating the attack, leading his men personally. When he finally returned on the third morning, he was covered in blood, his expensive clothes ruined, his face spattered with evidence of violence. Tia gasped, rushing to him instinctively. "Are you hurt?" "Oh God, Minho, are you bleeding?" "Not my blood," he said tiredly, stopping her from touching him with a raised hand. "Don't touch me until I'm clean." "It's over, Tia. The Choi family is finished, eliminated. Your family is completely safe now." "You're safe. How many?" Tia asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "How many people died because of me?" 17, Minho said flatly, his voice carrying no emotion. "All men. All directly involved in the organization. All complicit in the decision to threaten you. We were surgical, precise. No collateral damage, no innocents caught in the crossfire." 17 people, Tia repeated numbly, trying to process it. 17 people are dead because someone threatened me. "No," Minho said firmly, his hands gripping her shoulders, forcing her to meet his eyes. 17 people are dead because they threatened my wife. Because they thought they could attack my family without consequences. Their deaths are on them, on their choices, not on you. Never on you." He released her, heading toward the bathroom. "I need to shower, wash this away. Then we need to talk about what comes next." After he'd cleaned up, all 3 brothers gathered with Tia in the living room. They looked exhausted, drained, but also satisfied in a way that made her stomach turn. Like men who'd completed necessary work, eliminated a problem. "The Choi family is extinct," Jinwoo said simply. "Their operations are being absorbed by our allies. Their territory is divided among families loyal to us. Seoul is more stable now than it's been in 5 years." "And my family?" Tia asked, the only thing that really mattered to her. "They're really safe now?" "Completely safe," Hyunwoo confirmed. "They're back home, under discreet surveillance that they'll never notice. They think they were in protective custody during a police investigation. They have no idea what really happened, what was prevented. So we just go back to normal now?" Tia asked, disbelief coloring her voice. "After all this, after 17 murders, we just pretend everything is fine. Nothing about this is normal," Minho said seriously. "But yes, we move forward. That's what you do in this life. Handle the threat decisively. Protect your own. Move forward without looking back." "I don't know if I can do this," Tia admitted, her voice small and uncertain. "Live this life. Watch you come home covered in blood. Know what you're capable of, what you've done." "You can," the brothers said together, their voices unified. "Because the alternative is watching your family die," Jinwoo continued gently but firmly. "And we know you'd never choose that. We know family means everything to you. We're not asking you to love what we do," Hyunwoo added, moving closer to her. "We're asking you to accept that we do it to protect you, to protect everything we're building together. That's all." Tia looked at these 3 men who'd become her husbands, her lovers, her protectors, her executioners. She thought about her mother safe in her bakery, her father recovering peacefully, her brother planning his future. All possible because these dangerous men had claimed her, had chosen to protect her family as fiercely as they protected their own interests. "Okay," she said finally, the word heavy with resignation and acceptance. "I accept it. I don't like it, I might never like it. But I accept that this is who you are, what you do. And I accept that I'm part of this now, part of this world, whether I wanted to be or not." Relief flooded all 3 faces simultaneously, their tension visibly easing. "Thank you," Minho said quietly, sincerely. "For understanding. For staying. For not running when you saw what we really are." I'm not saying I'm staying past the year, Tia warned, trying to maintain some sense of control, some boundary. The contract still ends in 11 months. I haven't changed my mind about that. A lot can happen in 11 months, Jinwoo said, a slight smile playing at his lips. A lot can change between now and then. Like what? Tia challenged, lifting her chin. What could possibly change that would make me want to stay in this violent world? Like you could fall in love with us, Hyunwoo said simply, as if it were inevitable. Really, truly fall in love. Not just accept us, but want us. Choose us not because of a contract, but because you can't imagine life without us. You don't love me, Tia protested, but her voice lacked conviction now. How can you claim to love someone after just a few days? We spent the last 48 hours committing murder to protect you, Minho said, his voice carrying absolute certainty. We burned down an entire organization, eliminated 17 men, risked war with other families, all because someone threatened you. If that's not love, Tia, what is? What would you call that? Tia had no answer, because deep down, terrifyingly, she was starting to feel the same way. Starting to want this impossible situation, these dangerous men, this violent life they were offering her. 6 months later, Tia stood in the same marble bathroom where she'd first been sick learning about the Choi massacre, staring at a positive pregnancy test in her shaking hands. The contract had been updated months ago, extended indefinitely by mutual agreement. She hadn't returned to her old life, except for carefully supervised visits with her family. The jade bracelet never left her wrist, a constant reminder that she belonged to the Kong family now. She'd learned Korean, had been formally introduced to all the family allies, had become a Kong in every way that mattered. And now she was carrying their child. She didn't know whose biologically, didn't care about that detail. The baby belonged to all three of them, created from their love, their passion, their impossible family. Tia? Hyunwoo's voice from the bedroom, concerned. You okay? You've been in there a while. She opened the door, held up the test with trembling hands, watched his face transform from concern to pure joy to something that looked like reverence. We're having a baby, she said, her voice shaking with emotion. I'm pregnant. Hyunwoo pulled her into his arms immediately, held her like she was the most precious thing in the world. Minho. Jinwoo, he called, his voice thick with emotion. Get in here right now. Within seconds, all three brothers were crowded in the bathroom doorway, staring at the test, at Tia, at their future made tangible and real. Grandmother will be so happy, Jinwoo said, tears actually in his eyes. She's going to survive just out of sheer spite now, just to meet our baby. She'll probably live another 20 years just to prove everyone wrong. Our baby, Minho repeated, wonder in his voice as he pulled Tia against his chest. Our wife. Our family. Everything we never thought we'd have. Everything we thought we'd destroyed our chance at having. I love you, Tia said, finally ready to admit it fully, to stop fighting what had become undeniable. All three of you. I don't know how it happened or when exactly, but I love you completely. This isn't the contract anymore. This isn't obligation. This is real. We love you too, they said together, their voices blending perfectly. We have since that first night when you crashed into our lives and changed absolutely everything. We'll love you forever. That night they made love again, gentler now, reverent, celebrating the life they'd created together, the family they'd become against all odds. And Tia realized that sometimes the most insane decisions, the most impossible situations, the most dangerous choices led to the most extraordinary love. Sometimes selling yourself to save your family meant finding a family you didn't know you needed. Sometimes marrying 3 dangerous strangers meant discovering 3 men who would burn the world down to keep you safe. Sometimes a contract meant for 1 year became a lifetime commitment because love didn't follow rules or timelines or logic. Sometimes the most broken men just needed the right woman to show them they were worth redeeming. And sometimes a desperate woman just needed 3 men willing to prove that protection and love could coexist, that danger and devotion weren't mutually exclusive. As Tia lay wrapped in their arms, the jade bracelet warm on her wrist, their baby growing inside her. She thought about how far she'd come from that terrified girl who'd signed a contract to save her father. She'd become someone stronger, braver, more certain of who she was and what she wanted. She'd become a Kong, not just in name, but in her heart. And she wouldn't have it any other way. Beautiful people, if this story made you feel something, if Tia's journey touched your heart, I need you to do 3 things right now. First, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another intense story like this one. Second, smash that like button to let me know you want more emotional, passionate romance content. And third, drop a comment telling me which moment hit you hardest. Was it the wedding night? The Choi massacre? The brother's confession about the children? Or the pregnancy reveal? Your engagement means absolutely everything and helps us bring you these compelling, emotional stories every single day. Thank you for riding this incredible roller coaster with Tia and her triplet mafia husbands. Until next time, beautiful people, remember that sometimes the most dangerous love is the most worth fighting for. See you in the next story.